Welcome back to the Geek Critique Show. We're your hosts, Dakota and
Jan.
That's Jen.
That sounded like Jan.
Not Jan.
Jan. Hey guys.
We're gonna talk about something. This is a new topic that we're starting today. A new segment of the show called "Introducing Her to Blah Blah Blah," and of course we're gonna be talking about Doctor Who's Dragonfire, one of the Seventh Doctor's stories. Story number 151, according to the American counting system.
All right.
We had previously seen Remembrance of the Daleks last week.
Yes, we saw that last week, and I really loved that. I easily grew an attachment for Ace.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought she's, a take action kind of girl. Just, even if a little bit reckless, funny and cool.
Yeah.
Without trying too hard. So I was excited to see more of her, and she definitely, that definitely paid off and fulfilled my expectations.
Mm-hmm.
So.
She's definitely not try hard. She's definitely a go-getter, and she's angsty, and she's everything that an 80s teen should be.
Yeah, exactly. Without being she'll be a little cheesy, but without laying it on too thick. Yeah, I love it. It's because it's
great, but it's also really corny.
Yeah, it's endearing though, which I enjoyed.
Yeah.
So
after watching Remembrance of the Daleks, you were like, why don't we watch these in order? And I'm like, well, you don't really have to, but we can. We can start with Ace's first story. This is not Sylvester, the Seventh Doctor, his first story. Sylvester McCoy, he first aired in Time of the Rani. Which I don't have the DVD to, so we started with Dragonfire. This was Ace's first story, this is her introduction. First, let's talk about Mel a little bit. The previous companion, Mel.
Yeah, so right off the bat, to be honest, she wasn't really my favorite. Not because of, I don't know, obvious reasons, her voice was a little
high-pitched.
Yeah, a little high-pitched, and she just wasn't, I don't know, necessarily agreeable from the start. But I guess to contrast her, seeing the contrast between her and Ace, she was just kind of complacent, didn't say anything too witty or clever, kind of had a snarkiness to her that, I don't know, I didn't really care for.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, when she met Blitz, he tells her, oh, you guys stay here when we go on the mission or whatever. She obviously they had some kind of past where she didn't like him, but I don't know, I liked the fact that Ace was kind of wanting to go do stuff. They went and they found their way over. I think if Mel was just there by herself without Ace, she probably would have just stayed in the bar. And that's definitely frustrating for me, because I think when I think of a good companion, I think of someone, even if they're making the wrong decision, they're at least still trying something.
Yeah, they're at least still pushing the show forward.
Yeah, so I haven't, that was the only episode that I saw of her, and it was her last episode, but she just didn't seem...
She does have her moments.
And that's what I'm saying, I'm sure she does, there must be a reason why the Doctor chose her. I'm sure she has some qualities that are redeemable. I'm just saying I didn't really see much of them. I mean, she did grow a quick attachment with Ace, and seemed to care about her quickly. Yeah, which obviously compassion is a characteristic that the Doctor does look for in
She kind of weaned Ace into the role, actually.
Yeah.
It's rare that you see a companion... you see it more in Classic Who, but nowadays you don't ever see a companion getting weaned into by another companion.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool. Did you pointed this out to me. You were like, Mel looks really familiar. She looks like that cosplayer, Riddle's Messy Wardrobe.
Yeah.
And
she looks just like her.
She does.
Yeah, she looks just like her. As soon as she came on the screen, I was like, it's Rids.
The face
of
Rids. Yeah.
Yeah. We're big fans of Rids.
Yeah.
Riddles. But yeah, so I don't know, I just thought, so first you have these kind of I don't know, natural things about her that aren't that, I don't know, it's not someone that you naturally, like, gravitate towards on the screen.
Right.
But then to see her just being, like, complacent and, you know, whatever. But I guess, too, my first classic Doctor Who character that I saw last week was Ace, and Dakota and I were talking about it, she's apparently, like, a really modern, you know,
yeah,
a modern
and
person.
let's talk about Ace
compared to the other, you know, companions of her time, but I
Yeah.
haven't seen the others, so it's, I can definitely see the contrast between her and Mel. So if the other ones are more like Mel, then yeah, Ace is super modern.
Yeah, and Ace is this really punk girl. She doesn't really have a home. She's wandering, and you mentioned something that was interesting about, like, she got her wish fulfilled.
Yeah, so the thing that I thought was interesting about Ace is just that basically, like, she already had her own dreams and aspirations on her own. She was from Earth, and she made it, you know, out that far.
She mentioned that she wished and wished and wished that she was somewhere else, and then one day she ended up in Ice World, and she doesn't really explain it.
Yeah, she doesn't say how she got there.
Right.
But, you know, she just basically, it just shows that she went after whatever dreams that she had.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you can kind of feel for someone who, you know, was just on Earth, and, you know, she didn't have any parents, and she didn't feel like she belonged. And I feel like everybody feels that way at some point or another. But to see this character, not just have the Doctor meet her at that point where she doesn't feel like she belonged, but to meet her after she's kind of accomplished her dream, but still didn't feel satisfied. That's interesting to me. Because it just shows that, you know, she reached her aspirations and she wanted more. She wasn't settled. She wasn't done
satisfied.
Yet. And I like that.
Yeah.
I like that about her, and I appreciated that.
Mm-hmm. And she's a girl who constantly changes, and she, I think of all the, and maybe not all the companions, but most of the companions, she has a literal arc where, which you see in New Doctor Who. You don't see that so much in classic Doctor Who, unfortunately. And this was really, it's a shame that she was the last companion in the classic series, because we didn't fully get to see her story play out.
Because actually my friend Dan was telling me that there was so much more that was supposed to happen for her.
Yeah,
and I can already see just in the past two series, or two, you know, like, chunks of her that I've seen, you could tell she had so much potential. So
they had whole seasons planned after the fact, but BBC shut the doors, basically.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is quite a few episodes before that happened. What about that literal cliffhanger that Sylvester did? Well, let's talk about Sylvester. Do you like Sylvester McCoy as the Doctor?
Yes, I do.
Yeah?
Yeah,
what
I do.
What do you think about him?
What do I think about him? I think I like the actor, actually. One thing that we appreciated was that, like, they're on the ice planet, but all the other actors were walking like they weren't on an ice planet. He was, like, the only one kind of treading carefully.
Slippery. He
took it very
along.
literally.
Yeah,
like, he was on an ice planet.
Ice.
He's on ice, Doctor on ice, and he was not messing around. He wasn't about to fall.
No,
so
but
he was
did
careful
several times.
Yeah, even despite his caution.
Despite his caution, at the end of the very first episode, and okay, he does not fall. He chooses to climb over.
Wait, I was still talking about how I felt.
Okay.
about
Oh yeah. Go ahead. All right. Let's go.
Well, I was just gonna say that and I mentioned this in the last episode too that we were talking about. I like that he, again, doesn't really say everything that he's thinking right away. Like, he kind of feels out situations before he just jumps. You know what I mean? Like, you have different styles of Doctor, and sometimes the Doctor just runs around saying, this is this, nah, 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 and that's fun to watch too, and that's exciting, but I don't know, it's kind of cool to see someone who's just kind of like...
Who's pensive. And...
He's pensive, and he doesn't really know what he's doing sometimes, and he's just kind of going for it. Like that one scene where he goes up to the guard and literally just starts this random discussion.
About, like, existentialism and what life means.
Like, that could have been a total dud, and he just, like, went up to this guy and was saying that to distract him, like... You know, and it was just something so human to do. Just like, that's like if I'm with, you know, someone and I've never experienced this, but I could see like kids, like the Goonies doing that. Like, go distract him. all right, and then just walking up and saying something random.
Talking about something stupid.
Yeah, it's just the first thing you think of to just say. So I kind of like that human side of him, and I like his candid quirkiness, and sometimes too the actor you can tell is just kind of like suppressing laughter, which I guess I don't know if that's necessarily good.
It's
good
in
acting,
the moment fun,
but it just
adds,
there's this like lighthearted funness that I really appreciate about this Doctor, and I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Right, so we have to talk about the cliffhanger.
Yeah, this was actually like words can't express how I feel. Like
we were audibly laughing
at a part that was supposed to be scary.
Or, life-threatening. The Doctor sees a large chasm of ice, and I'll play it in the corner right here. He decides he's going to climb over a railing for what we don't know, but then he decides he's going to hang on to his umbrella from the bottom of the railing. He starts slipping down, and then the episode ends with his face going...
Yeah, like super dramatic.
Yeah, and the next episode does not explain
what he was doing, and then
because he's
Blitz comes and he's like,
Blitz.
Oh, sorry, Glitz. He sees that he's there. He's like, don't you see I'm gonna plummet to my death? And it's like, but why? Why are you gonna plummet to your death?
Why did you have to do that?
There was no reason.
Oh, Doctor.
They literally made no sense. But that was just honestly poor writing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
That was poor writing. I think what they should have done... In the previous scene with the Doctor, we actually see him kind of slip out of frame. It would have been so much better had they had the Doctor actually, like, slip and catch himself on the ledge, you know?
Yeah.
That would have worked.
Yeah, even, like, as, like, unrealistic as that is to slip and his umbrella's already hanging there and he catch... It's still better than him just climbing...
Yeah.
Was he gonna try to, like, boulder down the mountain? Like, down the face of this, like, chasm? Like,
Nobody knows.
No, you know what I mean?
Nobody
like,
knows.
This is so ridiculous.
Otherwise, other than that, did you find the writing in this episode to your taste?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I liked it. I think there were... Which I noticed this in the last episode, too. I wasn't expecting there to be such, I guess, like, deeper meanings in the episode. Like... In the last episode, they definitely had, notes of, like...
Remembrance of the Daleks.
Yeah. Sorry, in the last one that I saw. They were just kind of speaking, without speaking of, like, racism and saying, like, she holds a sign saying, that blacks aren't allowed in this building. And she's just kind of, like, shocked and disgusted.
Yeah.
And little stuff like that kept happening just to kind of... to say something about this huge issue that was happening and, still happens. And I thought that was really cool. And in this episode, they just kind of talk about, I don't know, to me at least, like the innocence of youth. And, the fact that you have this character, Ace, who is so young and she's achieved something so grand and she's not satisfied. And that's such a youthful thing, just to keep wanting more. And to think you're better than where you are and you were made for something different. And to have this bad guy... what was the villain's name? I forget the villain's name. Kane, right.
Yeah.
So you have Kane, who is just a bad person who exploits that. Mm-hmm. And you see that in the world today. People who exploit youth and who exploit, the innocence of people who just want something better than what they are. And you see this older woman, his kind of like, like henchman, his... the other woman, I forget her name too. I'm really bad at names, guys. But yeah, so you have, like, his henchman who was also kind of not tricked, but, like, seduced. Well, no, she was seduced,
and she was given the same chance that
exactly,
Ace was.
that Ace received. So she was kind of seduced also into this life, and she said she was in her mid-30s, I think, and she had signed on to this when she was 16. You'd think the mark would have worn off, but the decisions that you make when you're young do affect you throughout the rest of your life. So I thought that was such a deep and interesting thing for them to talk about in an episode that kind of gave you the premise of, or like kind of gave off the impression that it's just like this silly, goofy, aliens, whatever, but it talked about such huge things, and I love that.
That is very
The writing was good. Like, that's good writing, honestly. Mm-hmm. To give such an impression, or to show such morals, and have such underlying themes, while holding the pretense of like something silly and fun.
Yeah, silly, fun, low budget, very low budget, and that's a realized story like Doctor Who that's been going on for I think it was like 25 years prior to this.
Yeah.
So
I thought it was great. I loved it.
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
Ace.
Ace.
I'm gonna start saying that.
So if you were to rate this out of 10.
Oh, I don't like doing numbers. I really don't know. He didn't tell me he was gonna ask me these questions.
You gotta rate it.
I have nothing to compare it to. I've only seen one other episode. I'm just gonna give everything I like a 10 and everything I don't like a 3. And I'm gonna give this a 10.
A 10 or a 3? 10 it is, folks.
Well, maybe no, a 9 because of that actual, like, that scene where he's hanging. That brought it down to an 8.5, actually, because that scene was
8.5.
so bad. 8.5. Just because that, like, however long that couple of minutes was, you went from a 10 to an 8.5. It was traumatic.
Yeah. Alright, so Dragonfire, 8.5. If you haven't seen the full episode, I suggest grabbing it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's great.
We'll put a link below. Alright, guys, thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned for more introducing her to segments. And again, we're Dakota and Jen. We're the Geek Critique Show. Have a good night, or good morning, or good day.
Good day to you, sir.
Good day.